welcome everybody. This is Jarl Jonas with CourseSites. My name in the system says Sarah Bishop Root as I'm borrowing her account today. It's not necessarily my weekend personality, but I just wanted to welcome everybody to the session today on increasing student success with dynamic multimedia content from NBC Learn. We invited our CourseSites users as well as those familiar with NBC Learn. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy our session today with Christopher Tinay. What I want to first do is make sure that I'm coming through okay audio-wise. We will be using voice over IP to go ahead and provide the session today, allowing you all to listen in to the session. And you're welcome to use the chat box here down below that I myself will be monitoring along with Lisa Taramino. So what I will first want to do is make sure that you all can hear me correctly. If you can give me a green check, that check can be found up here towards the participant box underneath my moderator link and above your names. Okay, so I'm seeing a good number of green checks today. That's great. And Chris, I'd ask once you begin if you could do the same just to make sure we can hear you okay. That would be great. So welcome everybody. We have some great representation from around the world. We had Guatemala, India, all around the US. So very happy to have you with us today. Again, talking about how we can use NBC Learn's content to increase student engagement. To take a quick look at our roadmap for today, we want to do some welcome and introductions, particularly of Chris Tinay, our guest speaker, a well-accomplished representative of NBC and educator himself. Then we're going to take a look at the NBC Learn subscription itself and what is provided through CourseSites. Take a deep dive into looking at a particular case study from Delaware State University, their use of the content and how it's helped to increase student engagement. And then Chris will spend a good amount of time speaking with you and showing you how to import the NBC content within your CourseSites. All right, we'll definitely have time for Q&A at the end. If for any reason you have a question, you don't want to forget it, please do enter it into the chat, and we'll go ahead and make sure that those are addressed. Okay, I see a note from Enrique that he's lost audio. It may be particular to his. Let me double check his account really quick. Let me clear this, and just to make sure that you are all still hearing me okay. Give me another green check. Okay, so Enrique, it looks like something might be going on with your account. We'll go ahead and I'll try to address that once we begin. And if anything happens, I am recording the session today, so we do have a way for you to go back and listen to the material in the case that you want to review the information or you happen to have to step away for any reason. So as a quick introduction of Chris Tinay, I'll allow him to go into some further background himself. But I think most importantly comes from an education background, well-educated himself, but also a former K-12 and higher education educator. He's been with NBC Learn since its inception, so we have quite a subject matter expert with us today to help show you how to get started and how to utilize this wonderful resource that we've been able to make available to you through CourseSites at no cost. He's also award-winning, so received an Emmy Award and Emmy nominations the past couple of years for his work with NBC News, and as well as is a producer. So welcome, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone to you. Thank you so much for your time today with us and with our CourseSites users.
Well, thanks so much, Jarl. It's terrific to be with you all, joining you today from New York City. If you are, why don't we test the microphone? If you're able to hear me, go ahead and give me a green check, which should be up there under my name. Terrific. I see a bunch of green check marks. So wonderful to be talking to you all today. As Jarl mentioned, my name is Chris Tinay. I am Director of Implementation for NBC Learn. As Jarl mentioned, my background is in both television production as well as teaching. I spent about 5 years in the middle school classroom in a K-12 environment, and then an additional almost three and a half years in higher ed, teaching in higher ed environment. Really my role with NBC Learn now is to work directly with both our team here in New York, that is the product and content teams, to develop great new resources that are going to be useful to you in both K-12 and higher ed education settings. And then I go out and work directly with institutions to help them integrate great content through platforms like CourseSites and Blackboard and Collaborate and all sorts of other platforms into their curriculum to really drive both student engagement and move the needle on student outcomes. And so this has been a terrific project. I'm really proud to be sharing it with you all today, and I can't wait to get started. So let's move on to the next slide. I want to tell you a little bit about NBC Learn. We are the education arm of NBC News. NBC Learn was created about 5.5 years ago to go back into the archive of NBC News. This is a film and video archive which dates back to the 1920s and 30s, one of the largest news archives in the world. And the goal of NBC Learn was to digitize extraordinary content and align that both to academic subject areas as well as for K-12 users to state and Common Core standards. And once we did that, we built a streaming video infrastructure to deliver this content around the world using the same video distribution mechanism that NBC, the media company, uses. And we deliver this content reliably to customers all over the world. On top of a collection of about 13,000 resources, that, like I said, dating back to the 1920s and 30s, we also add to this resource every single day with the latest current events resources. And so we're going to spend a fair amount of today's session really diving in some depth into both the platform and the content, so you really have a good sense of what's included in NBC Learn. And then we're going to look at how you can actually embed that content right into CourseSites in order to enliven your curriculum. You'll see a number of the different content areas here that NBC Learn helps to support, starting with the sciences, biology and chemistry, agri-science, history and government for folks in the United States, English, marketing, finance, and business subjects, health and medicine, and a whole host of other topics. We're going to look in some detail, like I said, at the content, and it's helpful to know that that content comes from a range of sources across NBC and beyond, including business content from our partners at CNBC, current events and global affairs content from Nightly News, news and information from the Today Show, and an increasing number of resources in Spanish from our partners at Telemundo. So a whole range of content providers are contributing extraordinary material to the NBC Learn collection. We've also added a number of content partners in 2012. So if you've heard about NBC Learn before but you haven't visited us recently, it's useful to know that we've been working very closely this year with the Olympics to provide some new series around the science of the Olympic Games. We've also been adding content in English from NBC Latino, our partner website, as well as content in Spanish from Telemundo. In addition to our archival material and our daily current events updates, NBC Learn also creates original video content. And we do that around a whole range of topics from the science of sports. You see the science of football, for example, at the top of your screen. A series on the chemistry of everyday things, linking chemistry to everyday life. And history subjects like the history of the Civil Rights Movement in the United States and other history topics of global interest. You'll see to the right our latest original collection entitled The Science of the Summer Olympic Games, Engineering in Sports, that feature a range of athletes from around the world talking with scientists and coaches about how they use engineering and science to improve their performance and compete at the highest levels. So all of these resources are included in the NBC Learn collection. As you all mentioned, NBC Learn has been very fortunate, recognized with a 2010 Emmy Award, numerous other digital awards, including being a finalist for the Cody Awards twice. Most importantly, for the folks on this call, is to know that you have access on a trial basis to NBC Learn directly in CourseSites. And what's useful for you to know is that this is a free trial on an individual basis, but that NBC Learn is ultimately a subscription resource which is licensed by institutions rather than individuals directly through NBC, and then can be integrated directly into your Blackboard learning management systems, Angel, and used in a number of other ways. You'll see that there is a K-12 version as well as an NBC Learn Higher Ed version. And in today's session in CourseSites, we're going to be focusing on the Higher Ed version of NBC Learn. But definitely, if anyone has any questions about the K-12 version of NBC Learn, please don't hesitate to ask. As I mentioned on this slide, NBC Learn can be used either as a standalone website in conjunction with existing library platforms or student services platforms. It can also be very easily integrated into Blackboard, including versions 7, 8, 9, and 9.1. And there's also an Angel Nugget available, which makes it very easy to integrate into Angel as well. Today we're going to be focusing on how to use it directly in CourseSites. It is useful to know that the CourseSites is a free trial that extends minimally through June 2013. It does not include a few features, including download, institution-wide access, or K-12 features. However, if you decide to become an NBC Learn subscriber, you would be entitled to institution-wide unlimited access. And for K-12 institutions, that includes access for parents as well as all students and teachers. It also, an NBC Learn subscription includes the right to download video clips and play them back offline without an internet connection. NBC Learn subscribers are entitled to a range of professional development programs, both online and in person, as well as monthly usage reports, free training webinars, implementation tools, as well as 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week technical as well as content support. And we're really pleased to be able to work very, very closely with our subscribers to make sure that not only is the technology working seamlessly for them, but that we're providing the kinds of content that they require for their students and their faculty. I thought it would just be useful in case there are any K-12 users on the call, just to mention that what we will not be seeing in today's webinar is the K-12 features. Some of those special features include correlating all of these resources to state and Common Core standards, vetting content to make sure that it's K-12 safe and appropriate, and aligning it to K-12 curriculum. Again, if you have any questions about the K-12 resource, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat box. Now, I thought before we jump directly into CourseSites, and that's really where we're going to spend the majority of our time today, I thought I would just mention how one institution has been using NBC Learn resources in their instance of Blackboard to really drive student outcomes. And this is some work that we've been doing with Delaware State University. Delaware State University is a historically black college in Delaware, and they have really been working on innovative ways to engage students and get them excited and connected, particularly in humanities subjects like history and others. And what they've been trying to do with NBC Learn resources is engage students around multimedia content delivered digitally through Blackboard, and really highlight pieces that show broader themes and direct connections to those students' everyday lives. And so by focusing on this relevancy component, making the connections to daily events by using news clips and current events and so forth, it really plays to a much wider variety of learning styles and engages students around specific current events topics that they can relate to in their day-to-day lives. It was important to Delaware State not to simply do away with traditional course materials, but instead to enhance their use of traditional course materials by incorporating NBC resources in a smooth and seamless way, and that's why they elected to do their implementation of NBC Learn through Blackboard. They really wanted to reduce the number of places that students had to go for content and really bring it all together in one place. An example of how Delaware State has done that was particularly through one U.S. history professor has been using it particularly effectively. This is pieces on the relationship between Virginia and Native Americans, and they've gone in and created content items that then have NBC resources embedded directly in them. And you'll see a couple of examples here along the right-hand side of where the professor has taken documentaries or news clips and embedded those directly into their course content. That's really what we're going to spend the remainder of this webinar talking about, is how you can actually go into your CourseSites course and embed those resources. I thought the last thing I would mention before we jump directly in is really the kind of success that Delaware State has had in terms of the student response. They have had overwhelming response by students who not only use these resources as part of their classwork, but actually use them as writing prompts, use them in research, cite and reference them in both course assignments as well as in classwork and academic work, and actually have really started to incorporate an understanding of current events into not only this course, but into all the work that they're doing. And so they've started to see real response in terms of outcomes, not just in the classes where NBC Learn is being used, but in other coursework as well, and to great effect. So what I'm going to do now is switch out of this PowerPoint, and I'm going to go ahead and share my web browser with you and spend a little bit of time walking through how you can access and embed these resources directly through CourseSites. While I'm switching over, please don't hesitate to take this opportunity to drop any questions in the chat box. I see a couple of them going in there, and my thanks to the folks who are helping me moderate those, getting you guys answers in real time. So I'm going to just go ahead and share my browser. Okay. All right. We're on the home page of my CourseSites history course. I've created a course here called History 104, and I've titled it The History of the Civil Rights Movement. And this is just a hypothetical course. I haven't filled out all of the details of it. There are a number of different ways to access NBC Learn resources directly through CourseSites. what I'm going to do first is show you how you can get into the NBC collection by clicking on the Tools menu. So if I click on the Tools menu here, it's going to bring up a list of my course tools, and you'll notice on the right-hand side a link directly to NBC Learn. It says browse thousands of videos from the historic NBC News Film and Video Archive. All you have to do to access NBC Learn through CourseSites is click on that tool in the course menu. In the Tools menu. And when you do that, you will notice that the NBC Learn Search and Browse interface appears on your screen, and you'll notice that you don't have to sign in to NBC Learn. That's because you're being passed through directly from CourseSites in Blackboard. Okay, so we're here on the home page. I'll just orient you briefly to some of the features of the home page. You'll notice the Home tab always brings you back to this page. You'll see a Playlist tab. This gives you the ability to save videos as you're browsing directly into your CourseSites playlist. And you'll see a complete set of help documentation as well. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a box called Search the Archives. This is a simple search box that allows you to conduct a keyword search on over 12,000 resources. And you'll see a button that says Return to Blackboard, and that will take me directly back into CourseSites. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a gray box with two tabs at the top. One is Browse, and the other is Advanced Search. So I have the ability to browse and search for content in NBC Learn. And then you'll see the content areas are listed out on the left-hand side of your screen. So beginning with current events, and then going from African American studies alphabetically all the way through the various subject areas that we help to support. Across the middle of the page, you'll see our featured content carousel. This is simply where we highlight some recent clips, a video from Brian Williams talking about the NBC Learn resources, a video tour of NBC Learn, and other current events resources that may be of interest. This is updated on a regular basis. I'm going to start our exploration of the content by clicking into the section labeled Current Events on the left-hand side. And you'll notice that when I click on Current Events, it reveals a very intuitive navigator that is organized, in the case of current events, by year, beginning with 2009, and then within each year by month. So I can click into month of August, and then within that month into a particular week. And you'll see the clips that we've added for that particular week. For example, last week, the week of August 12th, we finished the week with 22 resources, 25 resources added in the week previous to that. So we're typically adding between 20 and 30 clips a week. So you'll note that it's not every single resource that NBC News produces over the course of a week. We have a content team in New York City and Washington, D.C. Who really vet every single resource very carefully. In the case of the K-12 collection, they're vetting content to make sure that it's K-12 safe and appropriate, and that that content aligns to state and Common Core standards. For the higher ed resource, the team is vetting content to make sure that it is not repetitive, that it is factually accurate and correct, and that it's fully rights cleared and can be shared in the resource in perpetuity. So unlike finding a clip online where you go into YouTube or another video website, you find a clip, and then you go to use that clip again 6 months later, and the clip's been removed because whoever posted it didn't have the full rights to be sharing it online, these resources, once they're posted in the NBC Learn collection and embedded via a subscription in your Blackboard instance, those clips live there in perpetuity as long as you remain a subscriber to NBC Learn. So they are, consider them like digital library resources. Okay, I'm going to select one of these clips, this piece on orphaned elephants, and I'm going to select that by clicking on the thumbnail. And you will notice over your screen that the screen dims. I'm going to just pause this clip. The screen dims, and over the screen the video is displayed in what is called the cue card. And you'll see the words cue card down on the lower right-hand corner of this resource. The cue card is a unique media player. It was created by NBC News specifically for this NBC Learn resource. And it's really unlike any media player that's being used in the education space today. The cue card was developed with colleagues at MIT by working directly with students to see not only how they watched video passively, but how they actually interact with different pieces of media and incorporate that media into research and academic work. And so what we did was we started from the question, what if you could remove the video on a website from the fixed page? Would that actually open up additional opportunities to make these videos relevant and useful in an educational setting? And the cue card is the culmination of 2 years of research really into how students could interact with resources if they were removed from the fixed page. So let me show you what I mean by that. If you picture the typical video player experience on a website, the video is embedded into the web page, and when you scroll that page or move it, the video moves with it, meaning if you scroll to the bottom of the page, the video disappears off the top. Let me show you how this is different. When I click on this cue card, you'll notice that I can actually drag it around the website. It's actually not fixed on the web page at all. It just floats on a layer over the top of the web page. The nice thing about being able to move the card around is that for users who use technologies like interactive whiteboards, for example, or other classroom technologies, this is often a great way of displaying multiple pieces of content at the same time. So it's possible that you could put up additional images or guided questions. You could put up a student response module over the screen at the same time, and then quiz the class as it's going along about what they're seeing in the video resource. So this card is built to be very flexible. The other thing you'll notice about the cue card is that it has a number of features wrapped around the edges. Down at the bottom, you'll see a few features, and in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to start in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see two buttons. One is an X, which turns red when I put my mouse over it. That button closes the resource. The other looks kind of like a back button on a browser. It's a backwards-facing arrow. Don't be confused. That is not a back button. That is what we call the flip button. And watch what happens when I click on the flip button. You'll see something happen to the cue card. I don't know how well you were able to see that over the screen share. I'll do it one more time. But you'll notice that the cue card actually flips over on the screen onto its back. And on the back of every resource is a full set of bibliographic source information about every single resource in the collection. So Remember I mentioned that the NBC Film and Video Archive dates back to the 1920s and 30s. The team at NBC Learn has actually gone back in and done the archival research on every single resource to display source information, creator information, date information, both about when that resource originally aired, as well as the dates being referred to in the piece. Every resource also has documented copyright information, as well as a copyright date and clip length. The reason this can be so valuable is that as you work with students to help them understand and evaluate different sources of content online, it helps to know where that content comes from. And if you're using sources like Wikipedia or YouTube and other open source platforms, you don't always have a full set of source information for video resources. That really sets NBC Learn apart, is the ability to know exactly where those resources came from and who created them. It's also worth noting the clip length, and you'll see this particular clip has a length of 2 minutes and 44 seconds. That is relatively typical of the NBC Learn resources. These resources tend to be short, and we selected them, many of them, because they were both short and engaging. The result of that means that they really do a great job of engaging students, because they both demonstrate relevancy and tie topics to real-world events, but they're also short enough to be engaging. These are not instructional videos. They're not long documentaries or how-to videos. These are really short, targeted, engaging clips that will help serve as almost video illustrations for both lecturing and online coursework. Underneath the clip length, you'll see a drawer labeled description. Every resource has an editorially written short description that gives you some context about the resource. You'll also see a full set of hyperlinked keywords. So you'll notice on this example there are a whole set of keywords on the back of the resource. This can be particularly useful for inquiry-based activities or inquiry-based searches. So, I've got a resource here about orphaned elephants in Kenya. If I were interested in every resource that we have to do with Kenya, I could just click on the Kenya keyword and it would return a list to me of all of the resources to do with Kenya. Likewise, if I was interested in all of the resources that we have to do with poaching of any kind of animal, all I would have to do is click on the poaching keyword and it would return a set of related resources there as well. These keywords, for some of the folks who are joining us from abroad, have also been very effectively used with ELL students, students who are learning English for the first time, as a very effective vocabulary development and reinforcement tool. Finally, underneath the keywords, you'll notice a section called Citation. And the citation field takes all of the editorial metadata required for these various citation formats and formats it in a bibliographic citation. So if I wanted the MLA or APA style, the Chicago Manual of Style version of a citation, I can just select on that citation format and click copy, and now I can paste that bibliography directly into my, paste that citation directly into my bibliography. Hopefully that makes it easy to take all of that source information that you have on the back of the card and really integrate that directly into student work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on the flip button one more time. And that's going to take us back around to the front of the card. And I wanted to just mention the transcript. You will also notice that every resource in the collection has a fully proofed and checked transcript, which you can follow along you can cut and paste out of and use in a variety of ways, both with your students as well as ELL students, students with various disabilities. The transcript can also be accessed by assistive technologies if you have students who are using screen readers, for example, or other assistive technologies. Okay. Along the bottom of the card, you'll notice a few options, starting with Save. Save is an important option. That is just the ability to easily save a video into your CourseSites playlist. So I've clicked on Save on that video. It says you have successfully saved this video to your playlist. And now if I ever wanted to see that video again, all I would have to do is go to the top of the NBC Learn page and click on My Playlists, and it will return me to CourseSites and display all of the videos that I've saved into my CourseSites playlist. I can also access that playlist directly in CourseSites from my Tools menu. Next to Save, you'll see a button labeled Print. Print will open up a new window, which will give you a printer-friendly view of all of the information about that resource, including the information on the back of the cue card, the description and keywords, the citations, as well as a full transcript of that resource. And that can either be printed or exported offline digitally as a PDF file. So it's really easy to access all that information and share it. Okay. Unfortunately, in CourseSites, you don't have the ability to download these resources. That is a feature which is reserved for NBC Learn subscribers, but if that's something that you're interested in, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about how that feature works. Okay. I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner of the cue card, and I'm going to click on that X button, and that's going to close me out of the cue card. Now that we've had a good overview of the cue card and the way that that card works, I want to turn back to CourseSites and talk a little bit about how we use that card to actually embed all of this NBC Learn content directly into your courses and course items. So I'm going to click on the Return to Blackboard button, and you'll notice that the NBC Learn site remembered where I was coming from in CourseSites. So even though it was almost 15 minutes ago now, it's remembered that I had clicked through from the Tools page, and it's returned me directly back here. Before we leave this Tools page, I did want to just point out that in addition to being able to access NBC Learn directly from the Tools section, here is where you would access your NBC Learn playlist. So if I have saved a video and I want to find that video again without going into the NBC Learn collection and searching for it, all I have to do is click the Tools menu on the left side of the screen, and then click My NBC Learn Playlist, and now it's going to bring me to a page right here in CourseSites where I've got access to those NBC Learn videos without having to go search for them again. And if I click here in CourseSites on the thumbnail, you'll notice that not only has that video been imported into CourseSites, but it's brought along with it the entire cue card experience. So I've still got access right here to my transcript, to all the bibliographic information on the back, to the print functionality, and so forth. So a number of different ways that I can leverage that cue card directly inside my online course. Okay, I'm going to close that for a minute. Now, this is useful if all you want to do is search for resources in NBC Learn and then hang on to them for later use. But what if you want to actually embed those resources directly into your course or into your course content? that's easy to do, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to facilitate it. Just close this pop-up window. Okay. So the first thing that you can do is embed NBC content directly on your course homepage. Okay, and that is really easy. It involves installing a course module directly on your homepage. Okay, and this is how you would facilitate that. Just click Add Course Module, and you'll be taken to the course module index page. And there are a number of different course modules to choose from. You could choose to search for it. There's a News and Events tab, or you can just simply scroll to the NBC resources. There are a number of course modules that you're welcome to install for free. These content-specific modules, business and finance and so forth, are all free content, but the professor or teacher doesn't control the content coming into them. It's just a feed of news stories from NBC Learn. In order to install the customized NBC Learn module, you want to look for the one that says NBC Learn Content. And that's the one that says allows an instructor to select a cue card to display on their course homepage. So I'm going to click Add to that course module, and it's added it to my course homepage. And now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and click OK. And when we come back to the course homepage, just scroll down here, you will notice right here on the course homepage is a new box called NBC Learn Content. I'm going to drag that box up to the top so you can more easily see it, or my students can see it more easily. And I'm going to put it right over here with what's new. Okay? So now when my students come to the course homepage, I have the ability to highlight a clip of the day. Okay? Now, let me show you how easy it is to add your own clip directly into this homepage module. You'll notice that I'm an instructor and I'm in edit mode, so I see two buttons, Browse NBC Learn and Swap Video. My students would only see one button. They would only see Browse NBC Learn because only the instructor can swap video on the homepage. So I'm going to click Swap Video. And I told you that I had titled my course A History of the Civil Rights Movement, so I'm pretending for this example that I'm a history teacher. So I'm going to go into the U.S. History collection, and I'm going to select from these various topic areas a clip that I want to highlight on my Civil Rights course homepage. So I'm going to click on the Civil Rights Movement, and you'll see a whole range of different kinds of resources here to do with the Civil Rights Movement. I'm going to click on this current events clip of the unveiling of the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. And to do that, I'm going to open the cue card. And you will notice when I open the cue card that a new feature has been added called Embed. We didn't see that Embed feature before, but now the system remembers that I'm in the process of embedding this clip in my course homepage. And so when I click on Embed, with one click, I'm returned back to my course homepage, and that Martin Luther King clip is embedded directly on my course homepage. So now, in about less than a minute, I've just updated a brand new, fresh clip of the day, and my students, when they arrive at this page, can just click on the thumbnail and watch the clip. Watch the clip that I've selected for them directly on the homepage. Okay, so they don't have to go into NBC Learn to find it. The instructor is able to really call it out to their attention. And the nice piece is that it still has all of those pieces of interactive functionality with it as well. The transcript and all of the information from the back of the cue card right here inside of CourseSites. Okay, I'm going to close that. There are a number of other ways that you can embed content in CourseSites as well. And pretty much anywhere that you have access to the text editor you can embed NBC content. Let's show an example of that in the content section of my course. So, for example, if I were creating a new content item for my students to see, here's an assignment that I created. I can go in and actually take an NBC clip and embed it directly into the assignment that I've been building for my class. And when they click on it, again, in this case, this is a debate from 1960 between Martin Luther King and a newspaper editor. And we've embedded that clip directly here inside the course homepage. Excuse me, inside the course content page. Let me show you how I built that item. If you go to Build Content, you have two options when building content. You can either create a new content item, or you can just embed NBC content directly into the content section of your course. I think it's useful to be able to embed that content inside an item because then you can give it some context. So I'll just click on Create a New Content Item, and you'll see the standard content item fields. Now bear in mind that you can do this anywhere you see one of these text editors. So let's call this Assignment for Friday. And now I can write out an assignment for my students. Please watch this video and respond in the discussion thread for Friday's class. Or perhaps you're going to have them submit an online assignment or take an assessment or test directly inside of CourseSites. Either way, it's easy to embed NBC content by using the mashup tool. And you'll see the little button that looks like a plug. All I have to do is click on that, and you'll see that Add NBC Content is displayed in the drop-down menu. From here, you're going to follow the same process we used to put a clip on the home page. I'm just going to click on Add Content. It's going to take me back to the NBC homepage. This time, why don't we select a clip from a different collection? Why don't we take a current events clip, and we'll choose something from the week of July. And let's go in and collect one of these clips about the Olympics, for example. I'll take this clip about Olympic athletes. Again, you'll notice that it has the embed option on it. I just click embed. And now that video has been embedded directly into my content item. So again, my students are going to find that right alongside the assignment I have for them, and when I click submit, you'll notice that now my students have their assignment and they've got the video I want them to watch. So it really couldn't be easier to embed the content you want people to use directly into content items, assessments, and other tools inside of CourseSites. I mentioned the discussion thread. Discussions are an interesting opportunity to embed content as well, because here you have the opportunity for students to actually access the NBC Learn collection as well and embed their own content directly in their responses. So it can actually be a conversation point rather than just a one-way relationship from the instructor to the student. So really a number of different ways that you can leverage that text editing tool to embed really engaging short video content directly into the content for your courses. So we have about 10 minutes left in the hour. That really brings me to the conclusion of the NBC Learn demonstration portion. What I'm going to do is stop sharing my web browser and just bring you back to the PowerPoint slides that we had before. And I think with 10 minutes left, this is a good time to see if there are any questions from some of the participants. So I'm just going to ask my colleague Lisa to give me a hand with some of the questions. Okay, so one user asks, are these resources able to be read by screen readers? And the answer is yes. We talked a little bit in the session about screen reader technologies and other assistive technologies. The website is, by US standards, fully Section 508 compliant. So it has been fully reviewed for accessibility. It actually exceeds US national accessibility standards for a whole range of criteria, including high resolution mode, screen reader technologies, keyboard controls, and a number of other assistive technologies as well. So thank you very much for that question. It was a good one. Okay. The next question from Lisa, it says, is a free trial available for Angel? We do have an Angel Nugget, which allows users to embed resources inside of Angel. And we do have a pilot program. So there is a way for your institution to work with NBC Learn to enable access through Angel. There is not a free trial in the sense of the way that the CourseSites trial works. So really the best way to experience that is to try it in CourseSites first. And then we'd be glad to talk to you about the steps that are required to get it installed in your institution's Angel instance and try it there. But that takes just a direct contact with NBC Learn. It's easy to set up. We have a number of users who are using the resource in Angel. You notice I went to graduate school a couple of times. I actually used the resource in Angel when I was in graduate school myself, so I can attest that, that it's a nice way to use NBC Learn content. Final question on this sheet is, do we have a relationship with Haiku, another learning management system? We don't at the moment, but I do want to call your attention to the fact that NBC Learn, in addition to being compatible inside of Blackboard, can also be accessed as a standalone website at no additional charge. It's just a single subscription, and you can use it in Blackboard as well as a standalone website. And the nice thing about using the standalone website component of NBC Learn is that you can embed links into other learning management systems or other library platforms. So for example, if libraries are using Destiny, for example, or other library distribution mechanisms, if libraries ingest MARC records or other digital resources through standardized records, we can work with libraries, we can work with student services platforms, we can work with other learning management systems to integrate this content directly into those platforms. So I don't know Haiku specifically, but we'd be happy to talk with you about what the implementation options are if you're using that platform. Okay, there's a question about students embedding videos in discussion threads. The user asks, are those only videos that the instructor has made available to the course? No, students have full search and browse access to NBC Learn. Now, that being said, it's, an instructor could simply say, please only embed clips from the economics course, or please only limit your searches to certain areas of the content. But the instructor doesn't really have the ability to fence off specific clips. The students are really given full access. I see a question here in the chat box about, are the news clips relevant to Canadian users? It's a good question. The content in the collection is as global as we can make it. So we certainly have a lot of relevant content for Canadian users around global issues, around around the world economy, around historic events abroad and overseas, certainly a lot of clips about the relationship between the United States and Canada, but I won't, it won't come as a surprise to you that many of the clips are created from an American news point of view. So it's it is one additional resource for you. I wouldn't suggest that it be your only source of news content for your courses, but it certainly can be an important contributing source. Okay. We have a question here about the conversion of videos to HTML5, so they'll play on iPads, iPhones, etc. It says, I know this was working, but I was wondering if everything has been converted. Yes, all of the video in the NBC Learn collection has been transcoded to be compatible with to MP4 in order to be compatible with an iPad. The iPhone profiles of those videos are still being processed, but if you access the resource from an iPad, the cue card should display and play the video. Now, there are a few features, including the ability to flip that card over, which we're still converting over to HTML5. But every video should now be fully accessible to watch, to view, to play full screen and so forth in the on an iPad. Another user asks, is the cue card Adobe Flash technology? It is currently built in Adobe Flash, but we've got a project underway to re-engineer an HTML5 version of it. Okay. Great. Okay. So we've had a question in the chat box about reviewing what's available in CourseSites versus what's available through a subscription. So I'm just going to go back in my slides here and display that for you one more time. Let's see if this will jump back. Here we go. So NBC Learn is available as a subscription resource, like I mentioned, and it's available licensed to institutions, and that's important. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have the ability for individuals to purchase a subscription. So institutions can purchase a subscription directly from NBC. Think of this in the exact same way that your institution would purchase a subscription to a magazine or a newspaper or other library database. Currently, we have versions available for K-12 as well as for higher ed. Although in CourseSites, we only have the higher ed trial available. If you're interested in a K-12 trial, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'd be more than happy to walk you through the steps for setting up a K-12 trial. We also talked about the fact that NBC Learn can be used as a standalone website in conjunction with other library and student platforms, and that it can be easily integrated through a Blackboard building block as well as an Angel Nugget. As a reminder, the integration into CourseSites is a free trial that extends through June 2013 on an individual basis. So if you're an individual who signed up for a CourseSites account, you can use NBC Learn on an individual basis. But if you wanted to, for example, evaluate NBC Learn for your whole institution, you just have to contact us and we can work with your institution to set up an institution instance so that the school or university can evaluate that fully. For subscribers, as a reminder, institutions have institution-wide unlimited access to all of the content in NBC Learn. For K-12 institutions, that includes access from home for all parents as well. It also includes the ability to download NBC Learn clips and play them back without an internet connection. That can be particularly useful for schools and universities where classrooms have limited bandwidth. So that can be useful. There are a range of professional development and training programs available, both in person and online. And subscriber institutions have full access to a suite of monthly usage reports, which report a number of useful metrics for every institution, including how many videos are used, minutes of video, keyword searches, popular video titles, and top users. Subscribers also have access to free training webinars, as well as a suite of free training and implementation tools. And they have access to 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week technical as well as content support. And what I mean by that is we will often have users contact us and bring us curriculum and say, you know, here's a subject that we're teaching or a course that we're teaching, and we need to align content to it, and we can help support some of those content initiatives as well. And then finally, I did want to mention the K-12 features that we are not able to demonstrate inside of CourseSites, and that includes correlating all these resources to state as well as Common Core standards. It includes an additional level of vetting to make sure that those resources are K-12 safe and appropriate. And it includes an alignment to K-12 curriculum, including a special section of K-5 elementary specific resources. So this could be a very useful way of integrating both digital video as well as current events in a K-5 safe and appropriate way at the elementary level. So really a whole range of opportunities for members who subscribe to the NBC Learn collection. I'm going to put up the final slide one more time. I've had a couple of questions in the chat box about licensing information. And if you are joining the session today from a higher ed institution, you can contact Bruce Wilson, the Director of Higher Education for NBC Learn, and you'll see his email address there. If you're joining us today from a K-12 institution, you're welcome to contact Michael McKinney, the Director of K-12, and his email address is listed there. And if you don't care to contact either of them, or you'd rather send me an email, it's been terrific to talk to you all for the hour. I would be more than happy to hear from you, and my email is listed there as well. I will also make this PowerPoint available to the CourseSites team, and we're making a recording of this webinar as well, so you'll be able to access all of this information via that recording as well. So we're at the end of our hour. I hope you found this helpful. I've certainly enjoyed talking to you today about NBC Learn and the ways that it integrates into both CourseSites and Blackboard. I hope it's given you a few ideas, and please don't hesitate to get in touch. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Yarl.
Thank you so much again, Chris, and Lisa as well for your assistance today and for your time and information and insights. Definitely a wonderful resource, and I want to thank NBC as well for allowing us to make that available through CourseSites for folks to try out or use in their actual courses that they're running on CourseSites. I know we're a bit over our time, Chris. If you have 1 or 2 more minutes left, I don't remember if you answered a question similar to this, but we did have some come in later about whether these can be used on iPads, iPhones, or mobile devices such as Android. I would say outside probably of the Mobile Learn app, because I'm not sure of the compatibility there. So I'll keep the recording on so we can go ahead and send these. Remind everyone that the session is being recorded, and we'll distribute that most likely tomorrow to to registrants. And thank you for those who have joined us today.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I did sort of address it when someone asked about HTML5, but just to reiterate, yes, these resources can be viewed on an iPad We are still working on the profiles for iPhone devices, but iPads and Android tablets, particularly Flash-enabled tablets, are no problem. So they've been very successfully deployed on a number of tablet devices. The one caveat that I would make to that is that the cue card wrapper, that ability to flip the card and access the transcript, that is still in the process of being converted to HTML5. So currently, if a user visits the CourseSites page, clicks on a video on an iPad, it will pop open the video and you'll be able to play the whole video. You just won't be able to flip it over and access those additional features right now. We have a project underway to re-engineer that whole cue card in HTML5 so that it'll be fully compatible for you as well. Yarl?
Great. Thank you again so much, Chris and Lisa, for your time, and thanks everyone again for joining us today. As you hopefully received our newsletter this morning, this is one of just a series of other trainings we have available. And again, we'll distribute this training to all the registrants, the recording tomorrow. We'll also have it available on our YouTube channel, and in our next update, we'll distribute it to our entire CourseSites user base. So have a great rest of the day, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you soon in CourseSites and in other training opportunities.